Welcome back to the 43rd episode of the BatChums podcast. I'm Drew Leiter, and joining me tonight is my co-host, the man, the myth, the new legend, Mike Gordon.
Howdy. See, I'm not even going to try to do the whole shtick today um
The name we
with
can't
the
pronounce.
yeah, Amenophis Tufik. Is that his name? Amenophis Tufik? Uh yeah. So but I think this will be the last time we have to deal with Mr. Tufik.
So this is Batman 66, Season 2, Episode 8, Tut's Case is Shut.
And we go back
Epis
to rhyming with the titles. We go from the spell of Tut to the case is shut. It's like, all right. So perhaps that was just a one-time thing. I guess we'll find out. But that for the minstrel, they didn't have the titles rhyme. But yeah. So anyway, I was happy to see it back. I know it's a little thing, but it's a little things that make life pleasurable.
Episode aired Thursday, September 29th, 1966, directed by Larry Pierce and written by Robert C. Dennis and Earl Barrett. So, last episode, Robin is trapped alone in a pit of crocodiles, and the ledge is slowly disappearing, and he will soon be dinner.
Before we get to the the great Magic Batman, and before we get to the meat of this episode, I noticed that when they were doing their review of last week's episode, they showed some scenes that were not in the previous episode. They showed a scene where a sequence where Tut was with his minions and they were chiseling out the scarabs from the jewels. And I was like, that's real. And they showed some other shots of the beetles or the scarabs, whatever you want to call them, cockroaches. I think they really were. Um, that I, yeah, I went back and checked the previous episode and I didn't see those. So that's the first time I can recall that they actually showed stuff from the first episode maybe they've done it before, but that's the first time I've noticed it. So I thought that was
And
odd.
I didn't even notice it, so
Well, it goes by pretty fast. And I could be wrong. I mean, it could be my old age catching up with me. It's like, oh, they showed that, but I didn't recall that. I thought it looked like new footage to me, but uh, anyway. All right. So, yes, back to our our inimitable Magic Batman.
all right. Let me say the magic words backwards, like Zantana would, and Magic Batman appears.
Wait, did you say the words backwards?
No, I didn't. I wasn't even going to try.
See,
Was
Zantana's got her work cut out for her because that's not easy to do.
no,
Heck,
it's
we have
not.
a hard time like even the right way pronouncing it correctly.
Sorry, I got Zantana on the brain because I've been reading a Batman. I can't even remember what it's called now, but I was reading this Batman werewolf, else like an Elseworld story. I think it's Black Label
Mm,
comic, and it had Zantana in it, so that's why I had
wow.
Zantana on the brain.
Zatanna is a great character. She would have been great to use on this show at some point, for some reason. But yeah, that was not to be. But I'm a Zatanna fan as well.
All right, so let's bring out Magic Batman.
There he is.
Will Robin get eaten by a hungry crocodile? Here we go. The joke's on you. I don't know what that means.
Okay, this is not a Joker episode, Magic Batman. Maybe Magic Batman's
Maybe
just put out because maybe like the rest of Magic Batman's body was eaten by a crocodile.
that could very well be. there's only from the neck up left, so
Exactly. So maybe he was feeding Tut's little pets there.
all right, so let's dive into this. Batman arrives at King Tut's hideout in the Batmobile using his Geiger counter. Batman locates Robin. Batman climbs an outside wall to a window with bars on it.
I
Batman
think
tells Robin
before he does
to
that, well, no, go ahead. I think you're on. I think I'm jumping the gun here. So go ahead.
Batman tells Robin to hang on, old chum. Using a bat laser, Batman
That's
is
it.
able
That looks
okay.
cool. The bat laser
Using
looks
a
cool.
Using a bat laser, Batman is able to cut through the bars of the window. Batman tosses Robin a rope, but he misses it. Batman must climb into the cell himself and swing over to Robin to rescue him. Both climb out safely.
All right. So Batman like half-ass like throws him a rope. Robin misses it on the first try, and Batman's like, "Let me try something else." It's like, just try it again. Like no, there's no need for you to actually put yourself at risk, unless you're just like, man, this kid is so dumb. I'm gonna have to go and get him myself. So it just seems kind of weird that that happens. So
Yes,
I
especially since Dick Grayson's supposed to be an acrobat. Of course, we don't
exactly
know that for sure in this
right.
series, but
Well, yeah, we've only seen him do one thing of acrobatics, and that was in the movie. So,
yep. Back at police headquarters, Commissioner Gordon steps out to take his wife to lunch for their anniversary. Commissioner Gordon leaves Chief O'Hara in charge. Miss Patrick comes in with a tray of pills and tries to give one to Chief O'Hara. Chief O'Hara replies he never takes pills. Miss Patrick tells them it's standard procedure, and against better judgment, Chief O'Hara swallows the pill. Where's the pushback, Chief O'Hara?
yeah, he's not really I was gonna say, yeah, there's he doesn't really think too twice about it. He just gobbles it up.
I think it's because of the pretty girl.
Could be.
Batman calls on the hotline phone. Batman informs Chief O'Hara that Miss Patrick works for King Tut. Do not take any of the pills she offers. It is too late. Chief O'Hara already took one. King Tut shows up at police headquarters. King Tut is able to mind control Chief O'Hara. Batman and Robin pull up at the back entrance of City. Yeah. Batman and Robin pull up at the back entrance of City Hall. They spot Chief O'Hara. Jeez, I can't speak tonight. They spot Chief O'Hara out on a ledge dancing around. Cleopatra is giddy to see Chief O'Hara dancing around on the ledge. She asks King Tut to make him do something else. King, King Tut commands Chief O'Hara to do acrobatics on the flagpole. We don't get Dick Grayson doing acrobatics, but we sure get Chief O'Hara doing them.
It's true. This whole sequence is pretty cool. From the minute that Chief O'Hara realizes that, he took the pill that he shouldn't have, and then he and King Tut's right there, and there's a nice exchange that they have where he's like, "How did you get, by everybody dressed like that?" And King Tut just said, "I just walked right by them." And yeah, great police force there.
Yep.
And then they actually kind of have a face off where it looks like Chief O'Hara is really trying to fight it. And I thought that was pretty cool because he doesn't just submit; he fights it a bit. And then we've got the acrobatics on the ledge and on the with the flagpole. What a flagpole's doing all the way up there, I don't know. But in any case, I think it looks really good. I mean, it's far enough away that you can't tell it's a stunt guy. The um, the uh the shots of Batman and Robin down below make it, I mean, it looks like whoever's doing the acrobatics up there is up at a pretty good height.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have Miss Cleopatra just giddy and wanting this guy to just go through, like, just risk his life, which she really seems maniac or manic about it, I should say, in a way that we haven't seen her before. Like, she seems pretty dull up to this point. except with this moment, she just can't get enough of this. Now we do know that she has a thing, like they all do, for Batman. But she goes crazy to the dismay of Tut. Tut's like, look, I'm just whatever. Okay. Like you're taking this too. Even Tut's like, I'm not interested in doing this.
King Tut spots Batman and Robin. He he grabs Cleopatra and enters the elevator. Batman and Robin exit the elevator just after King Tut leaves.
It's a nice shot.
Batman
It's a nice shot of like those like the two getting into the elevator and then the two coming out. Like I just it's really cool. I thought that was really nice. That
Yeah, the timing on it was perfect. Batman is able to get Chief O'Hara safely back into Commissioner Gordon's office. At King Tut's hideout, King Tut is crying over his bugs because they are all going to have to die to make his elixir. Soon he will have enough elixir to put all of Gotham under his control. King Tut decides to pay a visit to Commissioner Gordon. Him crying over those bugs. It was funny because it was a little bit of overacting, but it wasn't. You know what I mean? He had just the right kind of balance to make it funny and not roll your eyes kind of thing.
Victor is amazing at this. I mean, he takes the littlest lines and he just makes them sing. He rises above the material. The way he pronounces Abu Rabu Simbu 2 makes it sound like almost a threat, like not silly and ridiculous. Although it's absurd, of course, just like everything else. But his carrying on, I mean, the last episode when he was just over the, like, just beside himself because the bugs weren't alive, and he just threw himself on the gurney or whatever that was there last week. I mean, that was over the top. I mean, he really doesn't, but yet I think this is the kind of performance that we love to see on this show because we've seen it with the others too, where it really works. And I think when you have I don't want to keep harping on the fact that, pardon the pun, or don't pardon it. It's up to you. The minstrel, harping away at he just wasn't like um they weren't in it enough. Like they just didn't like liven up the characters like Victor does here. Now this is the second time that we've seen King Tut. So it's the first time that a original character has repeated on the show. And I think that says a lot that King Tut is a worthy opponent, is a fun opponent, and Victor does a great job. Um, I don't know this for sure, but I'm hoping that we get to see him in in the future because these are fun, and he really does a great job. And I love his performance in this, and I love Adam West's performance in this too. We'll get to this a little bit later, but Adam is really, really good in this two-parter as well.
Back at the Batcave, Robin suggests that Commissioner Gordon and Chief O'Hara be removed from office. They can't have their leaders under the control of a criminal mastermind. Alfred brings in 6 glasses of buttermilk to Batman. Apparently, he's thirsty.
He's
Bat
this is kind of where Batman's being a bit of a jerk because he knows what he's doing. I don't even know if he's told Alfred what he's doing, although Alfred probably is like, "What the heck?" Like,
probably.
but he is not telling Robin what he's doing. And that's what I mean. He's kind of a jerk because I don't know why he would keep this information from Robin, and he keeps it from us too. I mean, we don't know why he's drinking all this. It just seems odd because we've seen Batman drink milk before, but we've never seen him just keep downing glasses of buttermilk in between lines. Like it just seems like a kind of an odd thing to do. And buttermilk is thick, so I think a little bit thicker than the liquid he was actually drinking. But still, we find out later why. But in fact, when he's talking to Dick, right before he drinks a glass, or as he downs another glass of buttermilk, he actually says to him, "For every venom, there is an antidote." And so it's like, well, I mean, it's right there in front of us, Drew.
Yeah. Well, when he was drinking all that buttermilk, I knew he was doing it for a reason,
Yeah.
and I figured he was going to use it to counteract the pills because that just made sense. So why else would he be drinking all that buttermilk?
I mean, Dick didn't know.
Nope.
Robin didn't know, and he's generally surprised later on. And I don't know why Bruce needs to keep that information from him. I guess he just wants to be a little bit dramatic and be a little jerky, and I think Batman, does that occasionally.
Batman receives a call on the hotline phone from Commissioner Gordon. The Sphinx has reappeared in Jefferson Square Park. It is making predictions just as Batman predicted.
What I what I love is that this is what I'm talking about, where Adam is like downing these glasses of milk, of buttermilk, and he's saying these lines, and then he actually, he says the line, "It's making predictions, just as I predicted," in only the way he can. And then he pauses and he kind of looks like, "Yeah, even I know this is absurd." Like, like even I know, I am well aware that that line of dialogue is really absurd, and yet here I go, and he downs another glass of buttermilk. I mean, he's just really, really good here, in this scene, and then later on, when well, we'll talk about it, but he's just like he's on fire here, I think.
At Jefferson Square Park, Batman and Robin, along with a crowd of people, listen to the Sphinx predictions. Royal subjects, I have returned. And now for my latest prediction. Your all powerful, all conquering, good friendly Pharaoh will reduce water rates and give you more drinking fountains and will positively stamp out bat brutality. This is a promise. This is a pledge. This is a recording. I thought that was funny. He had to add this was a recording.
This is a recording.
After the recording, Batman and Robin come across Commissioner Gordon, who is parched. He offers to buy them a lemonade. Batman accepts while Robin replies, "No, thank you." Commissioner Gordon drops a pill in Batman's lemonade before giving it to him. Batman drinks to Commissioner Gordon's health. A nearby payphone rings and not Batman, a nearby payphone rings and Robin answers it. The phone call is from King Tut, and he is insisting on talking to Batman right now. Batman answers, and we hear him say, "Yes, Your Majesty. Of course, my good and friendly Pharaoh. Your very wish is my command. I hear and obey."
And here's another point where I'm like, Adam is just on fire here because he's going through this whole thing, and you could see, I mean, he's trying to, although why? Because obviously we find out later he's not really under the influence. And yet, and so nobody, and I guess in case anybody's watching, or I guess to fool Hut Tut, because he's on the phone with him. But he actually makes, like, you could actually see it in his face when he's trying to get, when he's being under the influence. And then at the end, the way he just says, "I hear and I obey." Like he just kind of like lets it linger there, and it's just poetry. It's poetry. It's just great. Adam really sells it.
Yes, and I thought I remembered him rolling his eyes like in the
Yes.
back of his head or something.
Yeah, I mean, for a minute there, he rolls his eyes into his mask and into his cowl, and you're just like, he looks like he has no pupils at one point, like he has no eyeballs. You're like, whoa, that's creepy.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I mean, although again, why he does that, I guess, I don't know. Like he doesn't need to. He can just sort of, he's just performing for himself, really, at this point.
Batman walks away from the phone booth. Batman walks away from the phone booth with his arm sticking out as if he is a zombie. Robin begs Commissioner Gordon to do something. Commissioner Gordon doesn't reply, but instead puts his arms out like a zombie and follows after Batman.
Yeah. Now we should say that O'Hara did that when he was under the influence earlier. So it's not coming out of nowhere. Apparently, when you're under the scarab spell, you put your arms up like you're a zombie. And but again, I just love the delivery and the way that that Adam does it. He just completely is selling it here and walking around with his arms out. And uh, it just look and meanwhile he's like praising King Tut. So it's just great.
Batman meets with King Tut's henchmen. Robin chases after Batman, but is caught by King Tut's henchmen. Commissioner Gordon has disappeared. Who knows what he's up to? Back at
Whatever Tut wants.
back at King Tut's hideout, Batman kneels at King Tut's feet. King Tut tells Robin to kneel, but Robin yells "Never" and struggles against Tut's henchmen.
It's a nice touch there.
King
Like
Tut,
I was talking about how well Adam's doing. Bert's doing great too. Bert's really good. I mean, this whole episode is great. Everybody's doing a great job.
yeah, they are. And honestly, from some of we talked about how the minstrels episodes and the archers episodes didn't feel as great. You know what I mean? And I don't know. This episode has a lot more excitement to it, I think, than those
Yeah.
episodes did.
Absolutely. Yeah. Like I said, I don't want to keep dumping on those two, but you're right. I mean, this is just it's great writing and everybody is just on fire uh
Yeah,
playing it
it
out.
feels like it's almost on another level. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we felt that way I think with the Catwoman two-parter too this season.
Yep.
But yeah, so it's good stuff.
King Ted explains that tonight Batman and Robin will feed his crocodiles, but first he must visit the water supply as his elixir tanks are full. Batman starts punching Tut's henchmen. Batman exclaims he was never under Tut's spell because he coated his stomach with buttermilk.
It's revealed, and Robin's like, "What? Like, why didn't I get some of that?" Apparently they didn't have enough. Like I think maybe Bruce called up and said, "Hey, Alfred, I need 6 glasses of buttermilk." And he's like, "Ooh, we're gonna run out." And he's like, "Oh, well, I don't have enough for Robin, so too bad, kid."
Well, good thing Robin didn't take a pill.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, well, Ted doesn't seem interested in that. But yeah, so now we get our fight.
Yep. A fight ensues. King Tut tries to escape, but he can't get his car. He can't get his car started. Robin opens the valve to his elixir, and Tut goes running to it. As he is crying over it, Tut comes under its control. Back at police headquarters, King Tut is acting like he is a professor again. Chief O'Hara takes Tut to jail.
Da, da, da.
Batman tells Commissioner Gordon that the law of this city is in his hands. As Batman and Robin leave Commissioner Gordon's office, Commissioner Gordon states, "So brave, so dependable, and so modest. Rare in men these days." Commissioner Gordon turns to the camera and repeats, "Very rare."
Yeah, like he's telling us we are very rare. Uh, yeah, a lot going on in that little bit that you said. The fight is pretty good, I think, overall. Still trying to get used to the captions that are have their own separate uh, blocks on them. They're not superimposed over the action. But one thing I did was amusing is that at one point, Batman kicks one of the guys. I think it might be Two-Fig. Two-Face. Um, by the way, I love earlier when, he tries that whole like, or my name isn't, Two-Fig, and Tut's like, if you say that again, I'm gonna slap you. Like he just like even Tut's tired of it. Um,
Yeah.
but at one point, Batman kicks one of the thugs in the rear end. And the caption that comes on says "touche," which is obviously nice little pun on, Tushy or Tush or Tookus or whatever you want to call it. Like I just thought I thought that was really amusing. Because sometimes they don't, and sometimes the onomatopoeias seem pretty random. They just seem like bam, zap, whatever, zing, zowie, or whatever. But that one was definitely right on the money. Like it just like that one definitely was a definite pun. And I also like when they go back, after, Tut is captured. He falls under the spell as well because, his elixir is leaking, and so he gets a mouthful of it, and then he starts praising Batman and Robin. To which at one point I think Batman says the Abu Rabu Simbu 2 plays no favorites. And the way that sort of Batman talks to Robin there is really really fun. And I really think it was this kind of thing, these kind of endings that were the another series that I liked, which was much later on, which was an animated series involved was which is The Tick. And I really loved that series, and I think that series paid a lot of attention to what Batman 66 did. And the Tick would obviously after every episode, the Tick would go, Arthur, and then he would like, talk about how with puns and everything like that, he would talk about why crime doesn't pay and all this kind of stuff. And I definitely had that vibe when Batman was talking to Robin there. And then they go to the police commissioner's office, and Batman says, "Are you going to try him?" And police commissioner says, "Well, I was going to ask you about that. I was going to get your advice." And I'm like, "Really?" Because you're the commissioner. But he's like, I'm not sure yet. And that's when he says, and that's when Batman says, "Well, I'll leave that up to you." And then he and Robin like peace out because they're like, "Look, we don't get involved in the aftermath. We just get them and bring them to you, and then we're done. We don't put up with the whole trial and decide all that administrative stuff. We don't fill out paperwork. We're just gone." Like like so because
We
it is
got better.
kind of it is kind of one of those things. It's like um do you hold Tud accountable? And as my partner Michelle was watching this, and she's like, well, he's just going to get out because he's going to plead insanity. So, he's he'll end up in Arkham maybe. And this show doesn't have an Arkham, so I don't know if that's an option.
Yeah, but he could very well plead insanity, even if it's not his idea and it's the lawyer's idea,
Well,
because
true.
he's kind of out there. So,
Well, apparently he's gonna bring his case before the PTA, which I have no idea what they would do. Like I'm like that seems like the wrong company to call or the one wrong organization to call, but you do you, Tut. And I think Miss Patrick gets away scot-free. I don't think we ever see her get captured. She's not, she disappears after the fight. We don't see her at the end. I don't think I think she's on the loose
yep,
with her
she's
with her
out
vitamin
there.
pills. So be careful, Drew, when you take pills and when you drink stuff, because I mean you could fall under that spell. There still could be some Abu Rabu Simbu 2 out there.
Uh,
But I
all
did love
right.
that. I did love that that aside that Gordon just looks right at the camera.
Yes, I like that too.
He's just like he's just telling us like, yeah, I know you're there and we all love Batman, don't we? Really good, really good. What did you think? Did you think this was I mean, we've already said that I think this is a highlight so far this season. Do you have any sort of idea thoughts about comparing it to the first Tut two-parter?
Well, with the first King Tut episode, we're getting introduced to the villain. And with this one, we know who he is already. And I don't know, this one felt a little more fun, I thought. And just maybe it's because we know this villain now. And I was happy to see him back. I like the first two-parter a lot. And I like this two-parter a lot too. Besides the Catwoman episode, this is the my second favorite for this season so far. So
Yeah. Well, it's not a huge list so far, but
no, not yet, but and that can always change. But yeah,
yeah, yeah,
I do not remember seeing these before, so they were basically new to me.
gotcha. Yeah, I didn't recall the details on this one either. I kind of vaguely remember Robin in peril over crocodiles or alligators. Sorry, I'm not sure which they are there, but I don't know if the people that did the stock footage knew either. I don't know. Uh, but uh, but I sort of recall that. But really, this felt really fresh, really fun, and I would put it slightly above. I think the one from Tut last year. As you said, we were kind of, we kind of know him, and the fact that it's the same writers that did that two-parter, they're aware as well, so they don't have to reinvent the wheel. They just move on. There's plenty of references to his first appearance in the first season, which I liked. Um, and Victor is great. So hopefully this is not the last we see of Tut.
Let's hope not. All right, well that wraps up. All right, well that wraps up another episode. Did you have a shout out, Mike?
I do. Certainly, as people are listening to this, I probably have already made the announcement. But if you haven't heard yet so far this year, once again, I am been granted the wonderful honor of being a guest this year at Dragon Con. Dragon Con is a big convention that is held in Atlanta on Labor Day weekend, so August 28th through September 1st. I have had the fortune of being there for 30 some years now. This is my favorite show of the year. It's my favorite convention ever. It's just a blast. And this will be, I think, my 10th or 12th or something like that time. I have to figure that out, but being a guest. So I'm really happy to participate in panels and with doing moderating with fan panels of talking about things I love, especially Batman. That's always fun. And talking to other creators and moderating panels with creators that are much more famous than I am. And there's big guests and there's big G guests and little G guests. And I have no, I have no delusions of grandeur. I am a little G guest, but I am all the more thankful for it. And I will have a table in the comics and pop artist alley. So I will have some books for sale, of course, the ones that I've already have, as well as some new ones that I'm hoping to produce in time for this year at Dragon Con as well. So once again, um, I am glad to be at Dragon Con, and you can hear more about Dragon Con as well as everything that you can look forward to this year by listening to a podcast that I host, which is the Dragon Con Report, which is not in any way officially associated with the convention. Let me make that clear. It's just a few of us who really like the convention and like talking about it. So we start recording episodes in January and come out with an episode every month leading up to the show. So we've already recorded our first one, and that should be available. And that should be available however you get your podcast or your vidcasts. If you like BatChums, if you're watching us on YouTube, you can watch the Dragon Con Report on YouTube as well. So yeah, look for that.
And I've never been to Dragon Con, but I have listened to the Dragon Con report before. It's pretty interesting, informative. They talk about a lot of stuff about the convention. So you get to it's nice because you get to experience it even if you can't go. So
Well, we appreciate that. We appreciate that, and we hope that some of the things that apply to Dragon Con as a convention, can apply to other conventions as well, experiences of that kind. But yeah, there's the Dragon Con is so big. I've been going there for, like I said, over 30 years now, and I've been doing the show, the podcast, the Dragon Con Report for over 13 years. And I feel like still we've barely scratched the surface. There's so many other things about the convention we could talk about and so many other stories. Everybody who goes there, we're talking like thousands and thousands of people. Somewhere between 60 and 80,000 people are slated to be there this year, and no two-person will have the same experience. It's just a fun show, and it has something for everybody, I like to say.
All right. And for my shout out, a couple of episodes ago, it might have even been last episode, I can't remember. Mike Mike shouted out about Batman and Robin Year One. And guess what? I've been reviewing it this week. So
Yeah,
so
you're up on me. I haven't read past the first issue, but so I think you said you were going to read you were going to review the first three issues, right?
actually it's the first four issues. So
First four issues. Goodness gracious, yes, how time flies.
because yeah, issue number four came out this week. So
Gotcha.
I added it onto our reading list. So yes, we're doing the first four issues uh, this upcoming Monday when we record. So I'm looking forward to that. We for the last few weeks, Cletus and I have been behind on comics. We were back in September or something like that still, and I decided, you know what, we're going to start grouping these together and get caught up
Makes
because
sense.
at one time, we were pretty consistent on being up on the comics as they came out, and we got behind over the years. So I'm trying to get us caught back up. So I've been grouping comics together. We did an episode last week where we did 12 issues of Action Comics
Whew,
because Action Comics
a
came
whole
out
year.
weekly. Mark,
Oh, gotcha. I was going to say whole year.
yeah, it was like a whole year's worth, but they were coming out weekly. I was like, dang, why are we getting all these Action Comics? And then I looked, oh, it's coming out weekly. Mark Wade was doing a story arc, and it took up 12 issues, so we just did them all at once.
And of course, Mark Waid is the same writer who does Batman and Robin Year One.
Yep, and I gotta say, his writing on Batman and Robin Year One's pretty good. He also writes World's Finest
Gotcha. With Robin and
with Batman, Robin, and Superman. So, and that series feels classic. So he was probably a good writer to choose for this miniseries. But
yeah,
yeah,
I have no complaints. I think the writing and the artist, the illustrations on this are just everything is perfect. It's like it's a perfect book almost.
yeah, it's really good. So I suggest checking it out. We'll have links to it in the show notes. All right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about tonight, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Leave us a message, text us, or you can email us at batchumspodcast@gmail.com. All right. You ready to get out of here, Batchum?
Bad Chums are ready to move out.
Atomic batteries to power, turbines to speed. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next week. Same bat time, same bat channel.
Don't worry, the worst is yet to come.
Your wish is our command.